welcome to a virtual tasting with Maker Wine. I am Warner, I'm a certified specialist of wine, and I'm joined today by Sarah Hoffman.
I'm Sarah, I'm one of the founders of Maker. We're so excited to be virtually tasting with you
Yes,
today.
absolutely. So we have a really awesome lineup of 3 different wines. I'm excited to talk through them and sit with you guys. But first off, let's talk a little bit about what Maker is.
Yeah, definitely. So Maker is a premium canned wine company. We partner with different amazing small producers all over California to can their premium wines and tell their stories. So each of the wines we're going to taste today is from a different small producer that we love, and we can't wait to share their stories with you and have you fall in love with them too. And I know that you all are tasting virtually at home, so definitely feel free to pause at any point, talk about what you're tasting in the wines before we go into it, and really just make it your own and have a glass with a few of your friends like we're doing.
Exactly, it should be a lot of fun. So we are going to be tasting a lineup. These 3 wines today are our Rosé of Grenache. We have our sparkling Sauvignon Blanc, and we also have a Zinfandel. So ideally you have the Rosé and the sparkling Sauvignon Blanc chilled, and then you can go ahead and open the wines, let them breathe a little bit. We can probably go ahead and start pouring the rosé.
Yeah, let's do it. Thought you'd never ask.
Yeah. So we are going to be drinking our wine out of a glass today, but feel free to drink it straight out of the can if you would prefer. But we really like to be able to swirl the wine, appreciate all the smells and wonderful aromas. And if you don't finish all of the wines today, so each can is actually 1/3 of a bottle. And then if you are drinking all 3, that is 1 whole bottle of wine. So no judgment here whatsoever. Make sure you've got some water close by, stay hydrated. But if you don't finish what's in the can, you can just put a piece of saran wrap over it with a rubber band, put that in the fridge, and it'll stay good for a day or 2.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. Should we start tasting?
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers. Okay, so the first wine up is going to be the Rosé of Grenache, and this comes from, the maker behind this wine is Nicole Walsh of Sarah Winery, and these grapes actually come from Monterey, California. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Nicole and her story?
Yeah, definitely. She is an amazing rising star producer based out of Aptos near Santa Cruz, California. And I think what's really amazing about her, a few things. She's made wine all over the world, from New Zealand now to Santa Cruz. She's really focused on single vineyard, terroir-driven wines that actually have a coastal influence. So you'll notice if you look at the can, we have the ocean design here to really reflect that. She's a surfer, she's a mom, the ocean and the coast really influences absolutely everything that she does. And we're so honored to partner with her on this incredible single vineyard rosé.
Doesn't she wake up like really early, go surf, and then go take her kids to school?
Yeah, and then make wine, and
Yeah.
she does it all.
So that's pretty cool. Probably a cooler mom than I'll ever be, but yeah. So one of my favorite things about being able to pour this wine into a glass is that you can really appreciate like the color of it too. It's this beautiful salmon color. I think it really matches like the color of the can, and I absolutely love this wine, and I'm not just saying that. I feel like it's everything I want in a rosé, and a lot of times I feel like we, can have maybe a bias against rosé and think that they might be too sweet, especially like American rosés sometimes have a lot of residual sugar added to them. But what I love about this wine is it's completely dry. There's no sugar, there's no residual sugar whatsoever. There's just really beautiful like fruit forward elements, delicious berry notes, and you don't get that yucky headache that comes with sugary wines.
Yeah, and actually all of our wines that we select from our makers are dry, 0 sugar, less than 5 carbs per serving. So these are premium, high quality wines, but they're still dry and a great choice for what to sip on.
Absolutely, yeah. So should we get into some tasting notes?
Yeah, definitely.
So I think what might be a fun idea is feel free to pause, talk amongst yourselves what you are tasting, and then we can come back together and share what we are getting in this wine.
Awesome.
All right, do you want to kick it off?
Sure. Well, I am not a certified specialist of wine, and I will get into my background shortly, but I like to say I have the palate of our customers, and for me, what really jumped out of this wine was really, bright strawberry flavors. I definitely have that salivating kind of sensation in my mouth from the acidity, and also a little bit maybe guava or passion fruit flavors.
Yeah, spot on.
And yeah, like you mentioned, this is a wine that I love to have with or without food. and it's just like been my summer staple.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think your taste notes were spot on. And the important thing to note is if you have taste buds, you are a wine drinker. So if you're tasting it and you enjoy it, that's all that matters. Personally, yeah, I get a lot of the strawberry notes in there too, watermelon. It's just really juicy and delicious. And Nicole likes to call this what pink would taste like. Yeah, so I think that's a really fun description of what the wine is. In terms of food pairings, this is so versatile. One of my favorite aspects of rosé is that when I don't know like what I'm eating, I can just know that a rosé is going to pair with it. And I think this is perfect. It's really well balanced. I think it goes with a ton of things like charcuterie boards, goes with a variety of meats and cheeses, seafood, a beautiful summer day, something on the water.
Love it.
But I'm all about not just rosé during the summer, but like rosé all day, rosé all year. And this can be enjoyed.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And one of the things I love about this wine and what we do at Maker in general is we'll actually submit our canned wines into, some of the top bottled wine competitions across the US because one, we know that a lot of canned wines out there aren't great, and we want to show that these are different and tasted blind, they really can hold up to the best bottles, and it's the same quality fruit that you'll find in the bottles of these winemakers in their tasting room. So it's really, really no different. And this wine's done really well on the award circuit this summer and definitely shocked a lot of people. Got a gold medal at the New York International Wine Competition, and actually also a gold at the International Canned Wine Competition as well. So, you get to say that you had a award-winning gold medal wine in a can.
Absolutely. And I think something that was really cool for me when I first tried Maker, I had a couple preconceived notions of what canned wine could be and the quality of wine it could be, but really once I tasted it, I realized, oh my gosh, the can is just a vessel. In the same way that a bottle of wine is a vessel of getting that wine into your glass, which you then put into your mouth, like it's just a different way. You can put high quality wine into a bottle and high quality wine into a can. That's really all that matters in terms of getting high quality wine out. So, alrighty, time for wine number 2. So we are going to be sipping on the sparkling Sauvignon Blanc.
Love the cracked can sound, it's so satisfying.
Okay. Beautiful. I know. I love this. And while we are sipping on the sparkling Sauvignon Blanc, Sarah's going to tell us a little bit about the story behind Maker.
Yeah. Well, first of all, we're a 6-lady team based out of Northern California. So we're new and still very small, but growing quickly. And Maker first started just about 2 years ago. I met my co-founders, Kendra and Zoe, at Stanford Business School, and we really bonded over being wine lovers. We're not sommeliers, we're people that loved great wine, but also the stories of small producers, and that's really what we got excited about, being here in Northern California, traveling around, visiting all these amazing producers and hearing their stories. And when we, tried to buy wine from retail stores, didn't really see those wines show up on shelves. And as we learned more about the wine industry, we learned how hard it is for small producers to get out there, to get their products to market, and really get their wines into the hands of wine drinkers everywhere. So we decided to build a company that would make wine approachable, inclusive, and get this amazing wine from these small producers into the hands of more people. So we're really excited to sell wines directly to consumer and through awesome events like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's cool backstory too of where y'all were first packaging all of the boxes and all.
Oh yeah. I mean, so even though I worked in marketing, I always had kind of a crazy side hustle in food and bev. I used to host a supper club out of my living room. I used to be a home brewer and travel writing about food and drink. So this has definitely always been a dream of mine. For the first year of Maker, we were packing boxes in my living room and going to UPS every day. So we're excited to be growing and being able to bring on more makers and more stories for y'all.
We are no longer packing boxes out of Sarah's living room. We now have a really awesome warehouse facility. Yes, but I'm very excited for all the growth and to be sharing these wines.
Yeah. Awesome.
Cool.
Well, my mouth is watering.
I know.
Taste this.
So this wine, like I said, this is sparkling Sauvignon Blanc, and there's a fun comparison that I think we should do with this wine, which is Chris actually recommends tasting this out of the can as well as pouring it into the glass, but keep it in the can because it's similar in shape to a champagne flute, which helps retain those bubbles. But also do recommend pouring into glass as well. Be fun to taste and compare, see if you taste the difference. But in the glass really helps you be able to appreciate all the smells and aromas. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about Chris's story? He's got a pretty fascinating story.
Yeah, and Chris has really been with us from the very beginning, and he's the biggest character, and is just an incredible winemaker and scientist and mind. But a little bit about him, he is actually from rural Iowa, from a non-wine drinking family. So he really had absolutely no background in wine. He actually came out west to go to Stanford, much like us, and really fell into the wine world. Apparently the story goes he was visiting his aunt who lived in Napa in the summers, and just really fell in love with it, got off the corporate ladder and decided this is what he wanted to do.
Yeah, he was in corporate for like 100 so days. It's not for me.
He was like, I'm out. And we're so glad he did. I mean, he is known for just beautiful aromatic, white, rosé, and sparkling wines.
As a bit of like a rule breaker and like a trailblazer. Does things differently, which we really appreciate.
Yeah, definitely. I think partly because he is self-taught, he didn't have formal training in wine, then he sort of gets to make his own rules. And this really is his signature wine. He spent a harvest in New Zealand where he first fell in love with Sauvignon Blanc and saw sparkling Sauvignon Blanc for the first time, and he definitely was like, this is okay, but I can crush this. So Chris is actually credited with being the first American winemaker to do a sparkling Sauvignon Blanc, which is really exciting, and now it is in a can, and we're so honored to have this wine in a can. He's also had some really incredible recognition this year, super well deserved. Food and Wine just named him the Sauvignon Blanc Savant. And he also was one of Wine Enthusiast's 40 under 40 tastemakers.
Yeah.
So he's just a badass. And as a reminder, there are cards with your wines.
Yes.
Definitely take a look at those. Look at the stories, look at the tasting notes.
You can even see what Chris looks like, and all of our makers as well. But yeah, these are fun additions in with your tasting. And this wine also won a gold medal at the Sunset International Wine Competition and a 93-point rating. And I think something fun about this wine, there's a lot of fun things about this wine, but this is actually the first sparkling Sauvignon Blanc I'd ever had. I've had a lot of different sparkling wines, but I think there's something so beautiful about it. When you think Sauvignon Blanc or, I don't know, you think of like a nice, like tart, crisp, juicy white wine, and I feel like this has everything, but then like just some nice bubbles to really enhance it and make it even better. The bubbles aren't overpowering. It's not like champagne. It's not gonna have like this yeasty, bready notes to it. It's just delicious. It's everything you'd want, I think, in a sparkling wine.
Yeah, especially for non-wine drinkers that think they don't like wine. Like this is so light. It's 100% Sauvignon Blanc, but it almost is tastes like a spritzer. It's just like very light and inviting. And that was really what Chris was trying to achieve.
Yeah, White Claw, we're coming for you.
It's the White Claw killer.
Yeah, exactly. But I think this is perfect on the beach, again with the rosé, like on a summer day. Tasting notes in this wine, I pick up on like tart green apple, lemon, lime, some passion fruit notes in there too. Is there anything else that you're getting in this?
Well, I'll just say one thing about Chris is he's an amazing copywriter too, so definitely check out Vodka and Wines. But what stuck out in my head from what he said about this wine was racy crispness and mischievous acidity.
Yes.
So definitely big, bold in your face. It's not a blend in the background sparkling wine.
Absolutely, yeah. It can really stand on its own. And I think with food pairings, this goes really well with like creamy cheeses. The acidity of the wine really like cuts through that creaminess, and it's a great balance. Fish tacos, chicken piccata dishes, grits, if you want to get southern. One of our other wine tasting educators loves it with like a fried catfish sandwich. She's a big Southern girl, and so I definitely need to give that a try. A little bit more about the beautiful can design on here. So Chris, we worked with him on a couple different wines, and he is known for blending beautiful wines together. This is 100% Sauvignon Blanc, but in the past we've done some rosés with him, which have been a blend of like all these amazing aromatic grapes. And he also has a blended background, so he's biracial, and he's coined the term blending is beautiful, baby, and so we're really honored to be able to incorporate that into his label. So you'll see these brush strokes kind of all like blended together, and I think it's really reminiscent of all the flavors in the wine. So you'll see like the yellows and the greens, like lemon and lime and tart green apple.
Yeah, and we do work really closely with the winemakers to design the label, which I think is kind of neat. And if you haven't noticed already, their signature is actually on the front of the can along with the winery that they work at or own. So we really encourage you guys to check it out and support them and visit them.
Absolutely. And another fun thing about our wines is that there's always a fun little message on the bottom of the can. So check those out. Be careful not to spill, but we love that aspect.
What did Chris say here? Hands up, bottles down.
Hands up, bottles down.
Love it.
And then on the rosé, this year Nicole said waves of rosé. So there's a fun little hidden message. Should we move on to some red wine?
Yes.
Let's do it. So we are going to be tasting the 2019 J. Ducey Zinfandel, which is brand new to us. We're very excited.
I'm so excited. I mean, this is still, very, very new to us, and I get excited whenever we get to sip on this can. So excited to get to do this with you.
Yeah, so hopefully you've already had that can open to let this wine breathe a little bit. This is a big, bold red. If you have not had any of our red wines before, might be surprised, like I was the first time I tried a big, bold red out of a can. It is a powerhouse wine, but it's phenomenal. So definitely swirl this wine in your glass a couple times, let it breathe and open up as we are letting it open and appreciating this amazing aroma. It smells so good. Let's talk about some frequently asked questions that we get. People are always curious about maker wine.
Yeah.
First off, Sarah, does the can affect the taste of the wine?
Good question. We get this question all the time, so always love to make sure that we address it. No, it does not. And modern cans are made for wine specifically. They don't impact the taste. There have been blind tastings done, and we've done blind tastings ourselves with the same wine in cans and bottles, and people can't detect a difference. And I think a lot of people have had the experience where they've had really bad canned wine and blame it on the can.
Right.
But often that is really due to the quality of wine put in the can. So that's really the number one thing that we say is, like, to get quality canned wine, you have to put really great wine in cans.
Yeah, exactly. And all of the cans are lined with a BPA-free lining, and so at no point does your wine come in contact with aluminum. We have to send our wines to be tested to make sure it doesn't corrode the lining. Your mouth doesn't come in contact with aluminum, and it's kind of just like if you drink anything out of a can. Like, you don't normally think about that when you're drinking a Coke or like a sparkling water or a seltzer.
And that's the number one thing we hear from customers that try Maker for the first time is that when they pour it into a glass and take a sip, they would have never known that it came out of a can.
Exactly. Yeah, I've even done like blind tastes with my family too, or friends, and it's so fun. Just to, no one can tell. Like, it tastes just as amazing, if not sometimes even better. And then another question is, how do we find makers and choose to work with them?
Yeah, I think sourcing and finding these incredible makers is really like the heart and soul of what we do. Sometimes there is a grape that we're really excited about, and we go try to find a maker that creates that wine. And sometimes we just meet incredible people, fall in love with their stories and their wines and make it happen. But when we get really excited about a new wine, we actually do blind tasting samples both with our team, to some of our best customers, and to a wine industry panel made up of wonderful palates like Warner's, so that we know that not only is the person and the story amazing and who we want to support, but that the wine is going to do really well and be something that people love.
Yeah, I think that was what really stood out for me when I first found out about Maker, was that we're not just making wines that we like to drink. We want to make sure it's something everyone likes to drink. And we might be excited about a wine, but if our panel isn't excited, we're going to rethink things, and we want something that everyone loves.
And you'll probably notice, most canned wines will be like, a red blend or a non-vintage white, or etc. And we really want to highlight interesting places, interesting grapes. We have a single vineyard Cabernet Pfeffer.
A what?
Exactly, and we want to educate around that and really highlight these special people and moments of time.
And make it so that anyone, anywhere can drink quality wine. It's making it super accessible, transparent, something that hasn't been a thing in the wine industry for a while, and just, making high quality wine more fun.
Let me taste this then.
Yes, I know. I just want this smell in a candle so badly. Oh, okay. Okay, we gotta talk about it. So this is 2019 Zinfandel. The maker behind this is Janelle Ducey of J. Ducey Wines, and this comes from Paso Robles. We just got to go down there as a team together in August, which was so much fun. Got to meet the whole J. Ducey team. Janelle is amazing, incredible host. We got to can the wine with her and see their amazing vineyards and hear her story, which Sarah tells all about.
Yeah, happy to. And that was such a special trip for us. I mean, it was the first time actually the entire maker team was together in person, which was really neat. And Janelle is definitely an example of one of those just like talented winemakers, incredible people and stories that jumped out at us before we even knew that we wanted to do a Zinfandel in a can. And I'm so glad we did. So a little bit about her. She's from this just iconic wine family in Paso Robles. They, fourth generation now, farming Zinfandel. So her family has been farming Zinfandel since before Prohibition.
And her great grandparents immigrated from Italy.
Yes.
In like the early 1900s and planted Zinfandel.
And so the Ducey family fruit was already in just super iconic Zinfandel bottles from Ridge to Turley, and they were great farmers. And Janelle, growing up as a teenager, decided, I want to put the Ducey name on the front of the label. I want to actually make wine from the family grapes. So she, is this I think she entered her first amateur winemaking competition when she was 13, which
I was not doing that.
Not sure how that happened, but just a total savant and badass. And Zinfandel is definitely her signature. And kind of just like us, she likes to say that the reason she decided to work on the Maker Project was that we're young women that had a dream to make a splash in wine, and so is she. So exactly. That's pretty neat.
What's really cool about this wine too is that it's 100% Zinfandel, but it comes from two different vineyard sources. So one of them is Ducey Vineyards, which is over 100 years old. That is the
old vines in, baby.
And so what that means, if you'll ever see that somewhere, old vine means it's vines that are over 40 years old. And when the vines get that old, they produce less fruit, but that fruit is really concentrated, and so you get these amazing powerhouse grapes that just transform into these beautiful juicy wines. And then, so it's 50% from Ducey Vineyard and then 50% from Paper Street Vineyard, which is a little bit younger. It's about 20, 30 years old, but we got to visit that really high elevation. It was 30 minutes just to drive to get to that, crazy windy road, but just so beautiful, such a beautiful site, and it was amazing.
And I think it kind of also reflects the tradition of the Ducey family, and trying something new. And the something new is the Paper Street, but also the Maker can. And getting to put really high-end Zinfandel in a can.
Absolutely. And something that was really cool when we got to visit and can with Janelle was her whole family was there. So we got to meet her dad, who still helps out a lot with vineyard management. And then her mom was there and her nephew was there. It's a whole family affair. So truly family owned and operated winery, which was really fun. Really cool. Okay, and then fun story behind the can design. So the color blue is, basically the whole can is paying honor to Dante Ducey, which is Janelle's grandfather, and he was a Depression era baby, and so instead of ever buying anything new, he would just paint it a different color to kind of make it look new, and he would paint everything what he called Ducey blue. It's this exact shade, and so actually if you go to J. Ducey Winery, you'll see that shade of blue everywhere. It's on her own bottles. It's this beautiful blue brush stroke on there, and so she knew immediately that she wanted her can to be this color.
And one of the things that he painted blue was their vineyard trucks. So the trucks that would actually haul the grapes everywhere. And so they actually have, some of these old trucks on the property still. And we put a blue Ducey truck on the front as a nod to that. And I think it's also fun to have kind of a fun, surprising color that you wouldn't expect on a big red wine.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so now would be a great time to pause, take a sip, see what you're tasting and smelling before we share our thoughts. Oh, this is so good. Mm-hmm. It just keeps getting better, like the longer it's opening. It's so smooth too. Like it's a powerhouse wine, but it's not like super tannic or crazy.
I think I actually wasn't really a big Zin drinker before we canned this wine. I love that it's both like fruity and fun, but also has that, depth and nuance and interest without being, like you said, too bold, too tannic. And I think it's really a crowd pleaser, even though it's a big wine.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's like the big difference between small production wines that are made with like a lot of care and intention. I think they're like really complex and they're not one-dimensional like a lot of generic wines that we've had before, where it just tastes like one note. Like there's so many different characteristics and qualities to this wine, which is really cool.
I'm wondering if you can share a little bit about Zinfandel and Paso and why they make great Zin, or what sort of the Paso region is like.
So Paso, if you are not familiar with it, it's actually like right in the middle of San Francisco and Los Angeles. And it is known for having a really long growing season. And it has really long, like summery days and cool nights. So it has what we call a diurnal shift in temperature. And that is really ideal for grape growing and especially Zinfandel. So it's been known as an iconic place to grow Zinfandel for a really long time. And I think that's why it performs so phenomenally, especially the Duce family's had such great success there. Zinfandel is actually one of my favorite grapes, so I was very excited about having a canned Zinfandel. And some interesting things about this wine too. So this does have 16% alcohol, and the way to kind of just some fun like tasting facts. If you want to know kind of like how much alcohol is in a wine when you swallow, how warm the wine is going down will kind of give you an indicator of the alcohol level. How much you salivate after you swallow gives you an indicator of the acid level. So the more you salivate, the more acidic, and then how much your mouth dries out after you swallow is like how tannic that wine is. So just some fun facts there.
Awesome.
All right, tasting notes. What are you picking up in this wine?
Ooh, I definitely get big, bold red fruit. I think a little bit of maybe herbal notes too.
Yeah, I get like plum and like dark cherry, some spice.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and then that's a really like common characteristic of Zinfandel. And then some beautiful like vanilla and cocoa, which is coming from the oak barrel influence, which was very shocking to me the first time I had an oak barrel aged red from a can. I wasn't expecting that, but just goes to show that it is just a vessel.
Yeah.
And then food pairings. This goes awesome with like different barbecue, like ribs or barbecue chicken, spaghetti, pizza.
Yeah, I think Janelle said her favorite was ribs potentially. So definitely that barbecue, and definitely makes me think of when we were in Paso Robles. Everyone getting together, other wineries coming to check out the canning line, bringing their own wines for us to try, like potluck style, laid back country vibes.
Maybe some karaoke there as well. Exactly. Paso's a very fun place to check out. I'm excited to go back and explore a lot more stuff there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for tasting with us today. We had a blast.
Always a good time drinking maker wine.
Yeah, and hope you're drinking wine with great friends and continue the conversation. If you love these wines, I would love for you to join us at the Can Club at makerwine.com/clubs. It's really the best way to experience Maker. We have all of our super limited production premium red wines through the club and a really awesome discount, and we do virtual events like these for our club members all the time. So
get to meet the winemaker. You also club members are the very first to get access to any of our new wines too. My favorite part is that you literally don't have to leave the house. This beautiful blue box comes straight to your door. You can totally customize whatever wines you want, pause at any time. I think it's amazing.
And yeah, definitely consider us your friends in wine. Like I said, we're a 5-person company. So if you reach out to us on Instagram at Make Your Wine, you'll reach Warner. And if you reach out to our wine line or email our support line, you'll reach me. So we hope to hear from you guys soon and share more amazing and delicious wine.
Yeah, let us know your feedback, if you had any thoughts, suggestions, ideas, but if not, enjoy the rest of your wine, and we will see you on the next tasting.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers.